Hello, my name is Yeji, otherwise known as ANdmadeco, here on YouTube and on Instagram. Today I have a slightly different video for you where I'm going over all the yarn that my sister brought back from her trip to Scandinavia. So she visited Denmark as well as Sweden and Norway, and I know that she picked up quite a bit of yarn, especially in Norway, but also in Copenhagen and Denmark. So my younger sister took a 2-week trip with my parents out to Scandinavia, and she just got back, and when she showed me the yarn that she bought, I started putting ideas together of what I might make with the yarn. So these are very dream plans, and these are plans that are not set in stone at all. And I know I don't do a lot of pattern roundup videos because when I stick to a plan, I want to complete the plan, because if I want to do something and I say I'm going to do something, I feel like I have to do it and I want to do it. And so for this might happen, this might not happen. It's a little more up in the air, but I thought that this would be more interesting. This type of video would be more interesting than me just showing you a bunch of yarn without having any plans for it. Throughout the video, I'll be referring to my notes about the places that she went to, as well as the prices of these yarns in the places that she bought them at, and also just the patterns that I have. And in advance, I am sorry for the mispronunciation of a lot of these names, both for the designers as well as for the areas and everything in Scandinavia, since it is not the language that I speak. But please let me know of how you would pronounce these names if you do know of it in the comments below. And before we get started, I want to say that my sister and my mom, they don't knit and they don't knit garments. And so when they left, they asked me what I wanted, and I said I want garment quantities, which means more than 1,000 meters of one yarn color in one dye lot, which is mostly what they got me. And there were 2 specific yarns that I asked for that were high on my wish list. First, Hjelholts, as I said before, as well as Hillesvag. And so I got a little bit of that. And when they asked what type of colors I wanted, I said anything available is fine. And also if they have really great sale yarns, then please get me some, because the prices are just unbeatable is what I've heard. And that's what they've done. And just so you know, some of these yarns I don't think I would have picked if I was in those places, but I'm really happy to have them regardless. And my sister is more partial to blues as well as pastel colors, and my mom really likes bright colors. So just knowing that going into the yarn, I think makes a little bit more sense. So my sister, her husband, my mom, and my dad, so I'll just refer to the trip as just my sister's trip since she's the one that brought me back the yarn. I paid her back for everything. I'm not sure if I said, but their first stop was in Copenhagen in Denmark, and I knew that I wanted this yarn for sure. And this is the Hjelholts Ulspinderi Garn. And so this yarn I definitely wanted. I asked her to stop by at Sommerflugen since I knew it was central to the area, because I've watched so many of the yarn store tours from Copenhagen, and a lot of people who've gone there have also recommended Sommerflugen. I know it's more of a touristy area and it probably has more touristy prices, but I think that things that weren't on sale, it was probably pretty similar to the other places. So this was, I think, around $19 USD per skein, which isn't bad at all. And I'm so happy. She picked me up 5 of these skeins and they are beautiful. And according to my sister, she said that she thinks Sommerflugen means butterfly in Danish. And so I'm really excited to use this yarn. This is a color that I definitely knew I wanted. She called me, she video chatted me in the middle of the night here. I guess it was 5:50 a.m. so in the mornings, and I think she asked me what color I wanted. For this one, I knew I wanted a neutral color, so this is the one I picked. And for this yarn, I think I have a little bit more of a plan for it than some of my other dream knits. And I have 2 choices, and both of these patterns I own, so really it could go either way. I'll set the rest of the yarn aside so I'm not just waving yarn in your face, and I'll just hold up one while I go through some of the plans, and I'll have pictures of the items that I wish to make on the screen as well. So my first choice is the Sibylla cardigan by Cookie the Knitter, and I've tested it for Cookie the Knitter before. I think her name is Jimin, and she's also gifted me this pattern for test knitting for her. And so I have the pattern. It's a beautiful cabled, all over cabled cardigan, and I think it'll be very beautiful in this yarn. This yarn is 200 meters per 100 grams, so it is worsted weight, and they recommend around a 17 stitch gauge to 17 stitch 21 row gauge. So I think they recommend a 4mm to a 5mm needle, and I think that it will be beautiful in this yarn. The cables will definitely pop. So I was thinking about the Sibylla cardigan, and the Sibylla cardigan is a top down drop shoulder cardigan. So I think that it will be easy enough in construction to make. The finished bust circumference does go up to 63 inches, but there is a 7 to 8 inch of positive ease range. And just because this is a cardigan that I'm seriously thinking about making, I think if I was to make it, I'll probably make the size medium, which would be the third size, on a US 9 5.5 millimeter needle. So it would be a little higher than the recommended 4 to 5 millimeter needle for this yarn, but I think it'll work beautifully. This yarn already, it seems like it's a 2-ply yarn and it just feels very rustic. It seems like there will be a lot of bounce to it. When I searched up this handverk garn, some people said that it was Aran weight, a worsted to Aran weight as well. The Sibylla cardigan does call for a bulky weight yarn, but if this can be classified as an Aran weight, I think that it will definitely work. My second contender for this yarn is called Gale by Sachiko Bergen, and this is a very size inclusive pattern in that it goes from a 39.5 inch bust to a 71.5 inch bust, and it is a cardigan. It's knit bottom up and then it's seamed, and then you pick up for the sleeves and you knit the sleeves, I think, top down. And so with an I-cord edging on everything, it has really fun zigzag pattern. I think that would be really fun to knit. And I also bought this pattern last year on sale, so I think that this is a pattern that I definitely want to knit. The Bergen sisters live in Toronto, and it's Sachiko Bergen as well as Kiyomi Bergen. I have another pattern from Kiyomi on the list as well to talk about today, but I've been eyeing this pattern just because I think it's beautiful, the details as well as just the simplicity of the garment, which I think will really shine through with this yarn. But the recommended needle for the Gale is even higher, so it's at a US 10, a 6 millimeter needle, which I think will also work for this pattern since it will be just a little more loosely knit, but without it being cables or anything, it being a zigzag purl knit pattern, I think that it will bloom beautifully, and they'll also just have a lot of drape, which I'm really looking forward to. So those are the two patterns that are on my contender list for this yarn, and I will probably be knitting one of them for this winter season, just because I really would like to try this yarn, just because I've heard so much about it. And my mom felt this yarn and she was saying, are you sure you want to get it, because it's not that soft. In my hands, it is quite soft, considering that it is 100% wool. It is quite soft I think for knitters, but for somebody who doesn't knit, I could see how this feels a little more prickly than, I guess, something like superwash yarn or 100% merino or cashmere. So I'm really excited for this yarn and I can't wait to knit with it. Another thing I asked my sister to look out for is, of course, sale yarn, because I'm weak to a good sale anywhere, but my sister and my mom are also very weak to sales, especially my mom. And so at Sommerflugen, my sister said that she found a sale corner and she found this yarn. And this is Sandnes Garn Sunday in the color 6315 turquoise. So my sister found this yarn for around $7 USD, and she bought all of the 9 skeins that they had there. It's the same dye lot. I think she just took the whole lot, and I'm really happy that she did, because for Sandnes Garn Sunday, it is a fingering weight yarn. So I plan on holding these together to make more of a DK weight yarn, and it is a very soft yarn. It's also very bright blue, so I'm not sure if I will wear this, but I was on video call with her. She said she found it, and so I said, go ahead, go get it, because I think $7 for a skein is basically half price of what you find in the States, and I really enjoyed how it looks. So up close, this is what it looks like. It's 235 meters for 50 grams, which means that it is probably around 250 yards or even higher, 270 something yards maybe, for 50 grams, which means that probably for 100 grams, it would be a DK weight, but it would also not be a heavy DK weight. I think it would be a solid DK to a lighter DK weight. And for this, because I have 9 skeins, so that would be around 450 grams, I think I would be able to make a vest very comfortably. I would probably get away with making a full sweater as well, but just because I was looking at vest patterns, the vest patterns are what I have for as contenders for this yarn. And because it's such a bright color, I think that if I was to wear something like a white or a black or a navy or any color under it that's more neutral, then this color would pop a lot, and I think that it would look very good as a vest. The first pattern that I have for it is Moonset Pullover by Ozetta, and this goes up to fit a 59-inch bust. Ozetta, she's had a lot of different moonset items, and she's had a moonset polo. I've knit 3 of the moonset tees, and I haven't knit anything else moonset since, but I am really liking how the slip over looks. It is a little bit of a wider slip over. I think that it covers the shoulders beautifully, and so I'm really looking forward to making it if I do get to make it. And it does use US 7, a 4.5mm needle, and I think I'll have really good luck using that 4.5mm needle for the Sandnes Garn Sunday Health Double. And this bright turquoise color I just think will look really great in a piece like the moonset pullover, where it is a little more calmed down. There isn't a ton to look at in terms of the actual piece, and the color really pops. However, saying all of that, I also think this yarn works really great with patterned vests or patterned anything, just because it is a very solid color as it is mill dyed. And so I think that it also would look with a really great cable pattern. And the pattern that I'd like to try is the Fresno round neck vest by Magdalena Parker. And Magdalena Parker is not a designer that I've knit from before, but I would really like to try her pattern. And this is and the sample is knit with a US 6, a 4mm needle, which would also be very comfortable holding this double. And also the pattern does go up to a 63-inch finished bust. So I'm really excited. I think that the squishiness of the cables in that vest really speak to me. Something about the cables are very round, and also having cables like that be very memorizable, but also be very even tempoed, as in it comes every few rows. It makes something really potato chippy, and being a vest, I know that if I start on it, then I would be able to finish it in no time. And the last pattern that I have on this list, I'm not sure if I want to hold this double or single for it. I think it does recommend a DK to a light DK pattern, but it is on a smaller needle, and that is Mabel by Hanna Masijuska. And this was a pattern published in Woolfolk, and I think that it's a beautiful pattern. It's very simple, but has really nice lines going down the neck, and so I think that it will be so beautiful in something in a bright color like this. And it uses a US 4, a 3.5mm needle, so for that I think you could almost hold a fingering weight or go for a sport weight rather than holding a 2 fingering weights double to create more of a DK weight yarn. And Mabel goes from 36.5 to 67 inches, which I think makes it a very nice oversized slip over to have, and I'm really excited to knit that pattern sometime as well. And I think that it's a beautiful pattern, whether it be in this yarn or in another yarn, of course. I think my descriptions could be better. Everything will be beautiful, everything will be a fun knit, I know, but I just don't know how else to express my excitement for these yarns. I am truly very excited about these yarns, and I love dreaming up plans. Part of the reason why I joined so many test knits is because when I see something and it's a test knit, then I think it kind of incentivizes me to use or look at the yarn that I have already in a different light. And so a lot of the times when I do test knits, it's with yarn that I already have. And so I'm sure some of these yarns will probably go into future test knits, and some of these yarns will probably go into way different projects, but I have a lot of fun. I'm already having a lot of fun dreaming up projects for them. And the rest of the yarn that my sister bought was from Norway. I don't think she picked up anything in Sweden. And the next yarn I'd like to show you is from Lillelam. And Lillelam is, I think it's pronounced Lillelam. It might be Lillelam. It's this company right here. And it's a kids clothing company in Norway, and all of their item is made from 100% wool. And it is so soft. It's the softest wool I've ever felt. This is extremely soft. It feels very buttery, and the color that she picked up is color number 4, light blue, and she picked up 5 balls of these for me, or 5 donuts, and each come with 162 meters, which is 50 grams. And so I'm really excited to use this. I think for this I picked some patterns that are more in the accessories / baby knit realm, and so I'll share with you what I picked now. The first pattern that I have picked out for this yarn is something that was newly released, and it is Jaunty by Andrea Mowry, and it is a scarf shawl pattern that just came out, and she said you can knit it in any gauge with a needle size that fits your gauge. And it is just a all over half fisherman's rib shawl scarf that's quite large. I just finished a half fisherman's rib sweater, and so I'm not sure exactly if I want to knit a big scarf or a shawl that's half fisherman's rib, but I chose it because this would be so beautiful in that pattern, because it would be so squishy and just so plush. It would be something that I could definitely use as a pillow, as in a worst case scenario if I'm in an airplane or something. but I could just see the two patterns or just that pattern and this yarn, the two factors just combining very beautifully together. The second pattern that I've picked up that is probably a little more of a real possibility is a Sophie scarf for my mom, because my mom has requested a Sophie scarf by Petite Knit. She didn't request exactly the Sophie scarf, but she sent me a scarf pattern that she would like, and it was a Sophie scarf, or an image of a knit scarf that she would like, and it was basically the Sophie scarf. And she's pretty sensitive. She has pretty sensitive skin, so she likes things that are very soft. And so I know that this wouldn't irritate her skin in any way, and I think that this color would also be very beautiful against her skin. So that's probably looking a little more likely, and I would only probably need 2 balls for it. And so I think for the rest of the balls, I could probably knit a Baby Bear Balaclava by Pernille Larsen from Knitting for Olive, because this is just that soft where it could go next to a baby's skin, as of course all of the clothing from this company it does. And I think that it would be so beautiful, so cute in the bright blue. And I think I could make it even for my daughter, who's now in preschool, because she'll be outdoors for it's a rain or shine. You go outside for a little bit of the day kind of situation here in Seattle, since it rains so much during the winter. And so I think it would be really beneficial for my daughter to have as well, or even for my younger daughter who is around 18 months. I think she'd be so cute in a cute balaclava, but currently she just doesn't like anything over her head, so I'm not sure of the possibility of her keeping it on, although balaclavas are harder to take off. And the Sophie scarf could be done in any weight. Basically, I think the Baby Bear Balaclava is a sport weight pattern. And another sport weight pattern that I also want to mention is the Ollie's Classic cardigan / sweater pattern by Hannah Graham. Hannah G Knits here on YouTube, I think is beautiful. And I think that this as a sweater would be so beautiful, with the pearl ridges as well as just the stockinette sleeves. I think would be so nice, and I can definitely see myself making, I've test knitted the Ollie's Classic cardigan, but I can see myself knitting the Ollie's Classic sweater in this yarn, and it just being so beautiful and so luxurious to put on the babies and just be really happy about it. And the sweater is called Ollie's Classic Crew, and the cardigan is Ollie's Classic Cardigan. For the yardage that's recommended, I could probably even go up to an 8-year-old size with 5 of these donuts, which seems like it's a steal compared to adult garments. But also I think that this would be such a great use of this yarn, as it is so soft. So I think it's more wasted if it's something for myself, where for me, if I have something soft, it's nice for sure, but I'm not as bothered with the more woolly wools compared to something like this. And I'm not sure of the exact cost on this, because I sent her money for this as well as the next item I'll talk to you about. But I think this was maybe around $7 USD each. And so I think I paid her around $35. And this next yarn is one that I'm also very excited for. I think after the Hjelholts, this and the Hjelholts I am so excited for. This is the Hillesvag sole. And I've wanted to try Hillesvag for a while. I think now some of the American companies do carry Hillesvag, except I asked my sister to get Hillesvag and she delivered. And this color is beautiful. This is Hillesvag sole in the color 58410. And I'm not sure exactly if they have names for it, but it's this really nice green gray color, and it's almost a seafoam green color, but it's not super bright. I think that it will go just really well with any pattern basically, and I like the feeling of it. Again, this is one of those yarns where my mom felt it and she said that it wasn't super soft, but I really like just the feeling of this yarn. It is 290 meters for 100 grams. So this is also a sport weight yarn, and she got me 4 skeins. I think online this is actually considered a light DK weight, and it's 317 yards per 100 grams from what I did my research. But my sister went to Bergen, and she went to a store called Fair, F-A-E-R, in Bergen, and the store next to the Fair store, and Fair sold a lot of different types of Hillesvag yarn as well, I heard. But she went to the store next door, which is an embroidery store, and the embroidery store also sold Hillesvag, but it was around 50 cents cheaper per skein at the embroidery store compared to Fair, which is a yarn store. And so I guess pro tip if you are in that area, and of course I think that you should visit Fair, a yarn store in Norway, but if you are next door, then I heard that it's around 50 cents cheaper per the 100 grams per skein for this yarn. For the 4 balls, or for the 4 skeins of this, as well as the Lillelam, I sent her around $104. And this yarn, it recommends around a 3.5 to a 4 millimeter gauge, and the two patterns that I have chosen for this yarn do have that, so at least that matches. And the first pattern I have is the Close to Me sweater by Lily Kate France. And the sweater is very size inclusive, and that goes from a 28-inch bust to a 62-inch to-fit measurement bust. And I think Lily Kate France has all size inclusive patterns, and she's a designer that I would really like to knit from, and I've heard a lot about, but I've never gotten around to knitting from her patterns, and so I would love to make the Close to Me sweater with this yarn. The sweater does recommend a US 6, which is a 4 millimeter needle. The details that I love about this sweater is the sleeve garter detail, as well as the neck right here. There is a little bit of a V garter detail, and I think that it's really smart. It looks very clean, and I think with a yarn like this, it would show it off very well, and I think that it would just block out beautifully and just drape beautifully with this type of yarn. One of the yarn store tour in Copenhagen that I loved watching was from Lily Kate France, and so it's something that I think would fit really well with the theme of this video. And another sweater pattern that I might make with this yarn is the Back Yoke sweater by Noriko Ichigawa, and this is such a beautiful sweater. I love, as it states, it's a back yoke sweater because the back yoke detail is stunning. I think the back yoke is knit horizontally and then you pick up from it, from what I can see. I'm not 100% sure if that's the way it's done, but it seems like it would be a very beautiful sweater. This would be a very oversized sweater though, because I think if I choose a size 2, I would have around 11 inches of positive ease. And this sweater goes from a 44 3/4 inch bust to a 68-inch bust. And this sweater does recommend a sport weight yarn, but I think a light DK or a yarn like this would work perfectly. And I think that 4 skeins will be all I need. And I just love looking at the sweater, so I think it would be really fun to knit as well as to wear. Noriko Ichigawa is also a designer that I would love to try. I know I have one yarn and I'm giving multiple options, but that's just how my brain works. I like to have options. And so I would just love to try Noriko's patterns as well, because she has a couple of really nice patterns. One other one is the Cocoon Joki, and Joki I think means vest in Japanese as well, because that's what it means in Korean. It's choki, I think. It's in the spelling of it. I'll definitely have it on the side, of course, but not with this pattern, not with this yarn, sorry, but with probably some of these other yarns. I think that would also be a beautiful knit, and I just would love to try her as well as a designer, because in my Asian designer video that I asked for some suggestions of Asian designers, I think early on this year, probably in January, and Noriko was one of the people that kept popping up, so I would definitely love to try her pattern one day. And next is where my sister and my mom kind of hit jackpot, and they went to Strikkelykke, a store called Strikkelykke in somewhere in Norway. I'm so sorry, I think it was in Bergen, but I'm not sure exactly where. I'll definitely have it on the screen. And here there were tubs outside of the store of sale yarn, and you know, as I said before, we can't resist a good sale in this family. So first I'll show you the yarn and some plans that I have with some of the smaller quantities of yarn that they picked up. So first they picked up Sandnes Garn Pure Gynt. Pure Gynt was so much cheaper here than anywhere else that I've seen, and it was on super sale, but I know that I could get Sandnes Garn at Tea Cozy Yarn Shop, and so it wasn't a priority for me to pick up Sandnes Garn. So my mom stuck these in there. I didn't pick this color, and I didn't say anything about this yarn, but my mom said that she wants a beanie, a hat made out of the Sandnes Garn Pure Gynt in this hot pink color. This is in the color 4315, and I'm not sure what it's called in English, but or even in Danish, in Norwegian, in any language, I'm not sure what it's called. It's 4315. And this is a worsted weight, classified as a DK, but basically a worsted weight yarn. And with this, I'll probably end up making an Oslo hat by Petite Knit, or a hipster hat, one of the hats that, a weekend hat maybe, something with a larger brim, a triple folded brim, because my mom likes large brims, because she says that she has a big face. It runs in the family, and so she likes having a larger brim because she says that it brings the size of her face down. I'm not sure if that makes sense to anybody else, but that's the theory that we're going with. And so I'm really excited. I said get 3 then, just so that I have enough yarn for sure to make her the size that she wants. This was only 30 Norwegian krones each, which means that it was $3 each. If I was in this shop, I would have gone crazy for all of these yarns, these sale yarns, because these prices are unbeatable, but $3, you can't really beat it. And so I'm really excited to make her hat out of this sometime very soon. Also, I know that some people don't like it when their family members or other people ask them for knit stuff or for specifically knit gifts, but I personally enjoy it when my family and my friends let me know exactly what they'd like out of the yarn they'd like and the color they'd like, just because I love knitting for other people. So I just want to clear it up that my mom saying she wants that in a hat, it doesn't bother me at all. So you know, I love gift knitting. And my sister also did call in front of Strikkelykke, and she said that she had room in her suitcase in the duffel bag that she brought for a couple more balls. And so I asked her to pick this up, is what I saw on it. And this has actually the new label, I think, for Sandnes Garn. So I'm not sure why. It might have probably been a limited edition color, but this is the Sandnes Garn Double Sunday, and this is in the color 4672. I asked her to pick up 2 balls of it. This is 50 grams and it is 100% merino wool. So this is just the Sunday basically doubled. And this is 108 meters for 50 grams. So this will be a DK weight yarn and it is very soft. I think with this, I want to make the Ghostwood mittens, which is a pattern I also bought from Kiyomi Bergen as we are going back. So I would like to make the Gale cardigan by Chico Bergen, and this like to make also the mittens by her sister Kiyomi Bergen. However, with that, I might need to hold this yarn with a mohair because although it's knit on a US 4, a 3.5 millimeter needle, it is knit with quite a tight gauge, and it calls for Aran weight yarn, a worsted weight held with a mohair. And I think the worsted weight, definitely the Double Sunday could be substituted in for a worsted weight yarn, but I think it might need a mohair to really block out any wind that comes through for a mitten. Or I might just make it just with this, just to let this color shine through, because I really do love this purple, this dark purple color. One of the things I told my sister was I would like any color, feel free to pick the color of whatever, but I would like you to avoid purple because I find that purple is a really hard color to really choose in terms of garments. I think I've also made quite a few things with purple, not last year, but maybe the year before. And so I'm kind of all purpled out still. But this one, I saw it and I said I would love to make mittens, especially something with the Ghostwood mitten detailing with this yarn, I think would be beautiful. And of course, another contender for this yarn is just to make hats with it. I think the classic rib beanie would be really pretty and I could have it to give to friends as well. And that one is done on a US 3, a 3.25 millimeter needle, or anything basically to fit your gauge. And it's just a rib beanie pattern that I think most people have now at this point knit or have heard of, because it is a free pattern by Pearl Soho, and I think it would be beautiful and I would be able to make it with just 2 of these balls. And the Double Sunday was only $4 each. And my sister and my mom, they felt all the yarn there. They said that this was really soft, so they got me a bunch of these. This is the CaMaRose Host, and this is actually a cotton yarn. They got me 10 balls, but let me put them down so that I could read you what they are and the color name. I'm not 100% sure what this is comprised of, but it is 75% organic cotton, 16% Gembrug's wool, so something wool I think, and 9% cashmere, organic cashmere. I think that's what ecologisk means. And so this is in the color 8202 Granite, and it is a mix of a bunch of different colors. So this definitely has some variability to it, and it is a very beautiful yarn, and this is what it looks like. This yarn is classified, I think, as a worsted to an Aran weight yarn. It does seem like a light worsted yarn. I wouldn't say it's completely worsted, and it looks like it's chain plied. And so I'm really excited. It's a very, very soft yarn. I can see why especially my mom would have been drawn to this yarn. This yarn is very soft. So it is at 120 meters for 50 grams, and each of these balls were $6. So I got my parents, my sister, they bought 10 of this color, and I also have 8 different colors, and I asked them to go back, and when they were showing me everything, I said pick up one of each of the different colors that they have so that I could use it in a colorwork sweater with something like this, and I think it will be beautiful. So I have a couple ideas for colorwork sweaters that I'd like to make with this yarn. So in total it was $6 and I got 18 skeins. Really quickly, I'll go over all of the colors that they got, and I am again very sorry for my pronunciation. This is 8228 Himmelbla, and this is 8200 Marmor, 8216 Flamingo, 8220 Brent Orange, so burnt orange, 8214 Tranibere, 8212 Aftenhimmel, and this is so beautiful. It's like a dark navy with orange running through it. 8204 Strandsten, and 8226 Vede. Hivede, I'm not sure. But these are the 8 colors that I got, and I think that they will be perfect as contrast colors so I'm not sure exactly how to hold this, but this will be perfect as contrast colors for this as my main color. I think this will be just the perfect neutral, and these will pop as a contrast color. And the 2 patterns I have prepared for this yarn, they don't require 8 contrast colors, so I'll probably pick and choose what I'd like, and these other yarns will probably go into something different. I can see it being a very nice striped something, and so I'm really excited for the possibilities here. So the first possibility I have is the Maxine sweater by Laura Penrose, and this is a DK weight pattern, but I think it would work well with this because it does use a US 6, a 4mm needle. I think you could go up a US 7, a 4.5mm needle for the color work, but my color work is looser than my body, so I probably wouldn't go up a needle size, or I'd stay at that 7 and probably go down a body size, a size measurement size in the chart. So it goes from 30.75 to 70 inches, and I would probably knit a size 3, but if I do decide to go up needle sizes, because it is a DK weight pattern on a US 6, and so if I do decide to go up needle sizes, I probably go down in a size in the measurement, the size chart, to a 2 or a 1. The Maxine sweater is a sweater pattern that I own for test knitting the pumpkin spice hot water bottle cover last year for Laura, and so I love that pattern as well. And I test knitted it just around this time when the leaves were changing colors, and so it just brings back really great memories from last year. I think that I could definitely put in any of these colors into that sweater, but it uses, I think, 5 contrast colors, and you don't need much of each, and I think that it would be a really fun sweater to make, one that I already own. The next pattern that I have on this list is Gramercy by Emma Duscher. This is an Aran weight pattern, and it uses a US 8, a 5mm needle, and this pattern is intarsia, and it's a cardigan, and so it's a size inclusive cardigan, so that's really nice. And I just love the diamonds and the little bit of color work that you do within these diamonds. I think it makes it very pretty. I think that the yarn would stand out, and I think that it would be a piece that I would be able to wear time and time again. This pattern goes from a 39-inch bust to a 67-inch bust with a recommended ease of somewhere in the 8 inches of positive ease, and that's with all of it buttoned up, and so I'm really excited to make this garment. I think that this yarn would be really nice for it because I would have definitely enough of this yarn to make the cardigan longer if I'd like to, or just to make it a cropped length as well. I think that the diamonds are just so fun, and I would have a lot of fun playing with the colors in this, just because each diamond, then different contrast colors go into the diamonds. For this, they recommend 5 contrast colors as well, but of course I could add in more if I'd like to. And this is a top-down cardigan, so it's always easy to adjust that length. And the last pattern I have on here is not one that requires multiple contrast colors, but I think it'll be very beautiful with multiple contrast colors. And if I was to use this yarn for this pattern, then I wouldn't have a choice but to use multiple contrast colors because I wouldn't have enough of just one color to carry throughout the sweater, and that is the Bloom Pullover by Brianna Mason. And this uses a worsted weight yarn on a US 8, a 5mm needle, which will be very comfortable with this yarn. It's a round yoke sweater, and it has large flower motifs, and I think that it will be very beautiful with different flower colors, as well as just with the different motifs playing with some of these colors. I think will be very beautiful, and I'll definitely have enough of the main color. This pattern goes from a 36 to a 70-inch bust, so it also does have quite a wide size range, and I love that about it. I think that some of these patterns I don't see a lot on my Instagram or on my For You page, or just even on Ravelry when I'm searching, but when I see these patterns, they just seem so beautiful, and I really want to make a lot of them. So I hope that by going over some of these patterns, you're able to also get some inspiration, although I'm not sure you would have to do it with 5 different colors. I think even with just 2 colors, this would be a pattern that I would love to make one day. So I think altogether for all of those CaMaRose yarns, it was only $108, which I think is a steal for 18 skeins. But the next item I'll show you was even more of a deal, and so I'll show you that now. I think for this yarn, it's just easier to hold it up like this, so I'll do it where my sister got me the Filcolana Pernilla yarn, and she got me quite a few colors, and these were on sale. These were only $3 each, and so that's why she got me 34 balls of them. And they are fingering weight yarns, and so I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do with them. I'll probably end up holding it double to make a DK weight, but I'll go through some of the plans now. But these are the colors that she got me. And it was really funny because I woke up to a message from her saying, I got you 34 skeins of yarn. They were only $3 each. And I think she searched up what yarns were easier to get in the States rather than others, and Filcolana was also on my list of yarns that if she finds in Europe, then I would like her to get because it's not as easily accessible in the States. And this is Filcolana Pernilla, 100% Peruvian Highland wool, 175 meters for 50 grams. This is in the color 368. This is in the color 829. This is very close to the pink Posy Heather by Knit Picks that I've used before for Wool of the Andes. So that would be a really great dupe for this yarn if you're not able to find the pink color here. And this is in the red is in the color 317 and the orange is in the color 254. And so I have 7 of these each and 10 of these each. And so I could definitely hold them together, as in put them in a project together, or I could, for especially this red and orange color, I'll definitely have enough for vest that I've talked about in the Sandnes Garn Sunday. The Sandnes Garn Sunday is slightly thinner than the Peruvian Highland wool. The feeling of it is quite different, although this wool is very soft as well. It's very squishy, and I'm really excited to work with it, as I am with all of these yarns. But I was also dreaming up some color work patterns that I would like to try with some of these yarns, so I'd like to share with you what I dreamed up of so far. The first pattern I have is a baby knit or a child size knit, and it's called the Fruit Sweater Junior by Scarberglade Maria, and it is an all over colorwork pattern, but the colorwork seems easy enough and it looks like a strawberry. I think it's so cute, but when she showed me these colors, that's the first thing that I thought of, and I thought it would be very cute as a full-on strawberry sweater. This is a DK weight pattern, and it uses a US 7, a 4.5mm needle, and the sizes go from 22 to 37.5 inches, which is a 6 to 12 month size to a 12-year-old size. And I think that I could definitely make the 12 to 14-year-old size if I want to in this sweater, but most likely if I was to make the sweater, I'd probably end up making maybe around a 4 to 5-year-old size. I'm not sure whether I would make it like this and have probably the dots of the strawberry be in the pink color. The dots of the strawberry could even be in the orange color, and I think that would be very cute as well. But I think that this would just be such a cute strawberry fruit sweater junior for a kid, and I'm not sure exactly if I'll make this, as with all of these patterns, but this is high up on the list of the things that I would like to make one day. And the second pattern that I have here is more of an adult sweater, but I would also like to make the Lilyhammer pattern by Lilyhammer by MJ Wilms, and it's an all over colorwork sweater with bright big snowflake motifs, and it is a size inclusive pattern, so it goes from a 41.5 to a 73.5 inch with a recommended 10 inches of positive ease. And the sweater is bottom up and steeked in the neckline and the sleeves, and then you knit the sleeves top down, and I think it makes sense for that. I probably would hold maybe the red and the pink together. I think would be really nice, or any of these combinations I think could work. I probably wouldn't pair the pink and the orange, probably maybe the red and the orange or the red and the pink, but I'm leaning more red and the pink. It is a snowflake sweater. If I want to go super Christmassy and lean into that, I could definitely do the red and the green, but I most likely won't. And if I was to choose colors to make in this sweater, it would be the red and the pink. This is also a DK weight pattern, so it uses a US 6, a 4mm needle, and I think that would be perfect with this yarn, and I'll definitely have enough of this yarn to make that sweater, plus have another sweater quantity to make another sweater. As I had all of these colors, I dreamt up of a lot of striped sweaters. There are so many striped sweaters out there that it's so hard to choose which one I would like to make. I think the one that I've settled on right now is the Northwoods V-neck by Jessie Made Designs, and that's just because I like a good V-neck, and I like that she is a size inclusive designer. And the sweater does fit a DK weight yarn, which I would use a US 7, a 4.5mm needle, and it goes up to a 2-fit bust measurement of 60 inches. The V-neck also doesn't seem super deep, but also doesn't seem too shallow. It's a very in the middle Goldilocks situation, as I like to say, and so I think that would be beautiful with this as well. And I could then really play up the stripes. If I didn't use some of the other yarns that I've gotten as well, I could also include that into a striped sweater. But of course, for stripes, I mean, there are so many striped patterns out there. I think if I was just looking for striped patterns, there are so many out there. Petite Knit has a ton of striped things. She has the Key sweater, the Olga series. She has the Arrow sweater. She's coming out with a Frankie sweater. And Veronica Lindberg, of course, has her striped pipe, which I love the striped pipe as well. Andrea Mowry also has stripes, which I love. That's where I learned jogless stripes from, and I've made one of those sweaters, so I do have the pattern for that, and that's a round yoke, just striped sweater, and I think that would be an easy knit as well and a really fun one. And she also has the Douglas cardigan, which she incorporated stripes. I think Rebecca Clow also has a bunch of stripes, and there are stripe patterns from every single designer out there, I think. And you could also make striped patterns with things that aren't striped. You could also just add in more colors, and it's so easy to play around with colors. And so I think that there are so many options out there. Personally, for me, I'm not 100% sure what I'll do with this. If I do make stripes, I'll definitely let you know. And currently, my go-to would probably be the Northwood Stripes V-neck for all the reasons I just mentioned. But that would probably be in the future after I've used some of this yarn for other projects, just because I don't want to take 2 balls from a pack of 10 and not have enough for a sweater quantity for another project that might come up. But then I also don't want to then save it for a project that might never come up, if you know what I mean. So I'm excited for the possibilities of this yarn. So my sister was in Gol in Norway, and she went into a store thinking that it was a tourist shop, I think, or they sold more touristy items because they had a lot of Norwegian clothing there. She said they had a lot of craft stuff and a lot of yarn, and she got me this because it was on 50% clearance, and this is the Rauma Garn Alpaca Lin, and this is 50 grams, 175 meters, and this is in the color 1387. I am unsure of what to do with this yarn. This is 48% baby alpaca, 8% wool, and 44% linen. You can see the linen, I think, through the linen strands, through the yarn, the alpaca, and it's really nice rusty color, but I'm just unsure of what to do with this because I don't have any yarn that has this exact composition, and I think I might just end up making a hat. It only has 175 meters though, so I'm not sure if it would be enough for a hat, but we'll see. I might be able to get away with more of a loose knit gauge, and so I don't think I would be able to make anything that's double brimmed or anything, but I think just for a regular hat, it would be nice because it is a very soft yarn. It's alpaca mostly, so it's very fluffy. Other than the linen, the majority of it is alpaca and wool. And I think that it's a nice yarn to have. I'm just unsure of what to do with this. So for this yarn, I'm not 100% sure what to do with it, but now that I'm thinking about it, I would probably end up making something for a child. So I think a child size vest would be really pretty in this yarn, and something for not a baby since it is alpaca and it is fluffy, and I'm always afraid of babies eating the fluff, although alpaca doesn't really shed like mohair does. And so probably a toddler to a kindergartner age, I could get away with 175 meters to make a vest out of. So if you have any ideas, please let me know. But that's my current thought with this yarn. I'm not exactly sure what I'll do with it. It could also be a hat. I'm not sure if it would be enough for an adult size hat though. So again, it'd probably be something for a child, but then again, it's very soft and it is quite fluffy, so they might enjoy it. So those are all the yarns that my sister picked up for me from Scandinavia, and it was a lot. And I'm really, really thankful for all of the effort that she and my mom and everybody put into, and she dragged it all around her trip, and so I'm very, very thankful for the yarn that I received. I think all in all, I sent her just under $500, so it was around $494 combined, and I don't think I could get this much yarn here in the States for that cost for 100% wool yarn, and so I'm very thankful for the opportunity to try some of this yarn. I have to say the number 1 and the number 2 yarns that I'm the most excited for are the yarns, the Hjelholts as well as the Hillesvag, the yarns that I specifically asked for. I am so excited, and those might be the yarns that get used the fastest other than gift knits or accessories. So thank you so much for watching. I feel like I did a lot of talking. I hope that it isn't too long of a video. I hope you enjoyed some of the pattern roundup and how my thinking process goes. When I see a yarn, then I love looking at possibilities that it could be in Ravelry. And it also gives me a better sense to know then what I could sign up for, what test knits I could sign up for in the future, having these yarns in mind. And so I always love trying new yarn and trying just new patterns in general. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you can, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.